Well, a happy weekend. Good morning, West Ham fans. So apparently, Tim Steidten wants Arne Slot. Yes, everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Hope your Saturday's going well. Hopefully, we've got over. I've had a cathartic experience. It's out my system. I'm ready for Burnley tomorrow, and obviously, don't forget it's Mother's Day tomorrow. Keep reminding you because people will always forget. Now, let's talk about managers. We haven't talked about managers for a while, have we? For about a week, which has been a nice for a change because we're talking about football all the time. But according to a few sources, some names are starting to creep up again in terms of interest in the West Ham job. Obviously, we know David Moyes, his current contract, comes to an end at the end of this season. If there's another contract for him or not, we don't know. You know, he thinks there is, but apparently there's not. We don't know. And obviously, we will be looking at bringing in there'll be a new contracted person in the summer. Let's say that because it could be David Moyes or it could be a new person. And also, they have a massive rebuild job as well, as we well know under the stewardship of Tim Steidten. Now, according to several sources, several news reports in the last 48 hours or so, and stuff we've heard about before, Arne Slot is another name that's coming back in. I went back and looked. It was almost a year ago. I did a video about Arne Slot. Almost not quite to the day, but almost to the day, about him taking over last summer. But we're being heavily linked with the final manager. He apparently turned down Spurs last season. He was heavily linked with the Spurs job when they were looking for a new manager, and eventually they went with Ange Postecoglou. But as I said, according to several sources, he is high up on Tim Steidten's managerial coach wish list, because it's not a manager, it'd be a first team coach. And apparently he also has several more admirers at the London Stadium in terms of senior management there. I mean, he's got a career win percentage of 60.4% in the 245 games he's managed, albeit managing in easier leagues, primarily or exclusively the Eredivisie. So what I thought I'd do is I'll give you a bit of an update, because there'll be people on the channel who are new to the channel. Obviously, we've had a massive sort of uptake in subscribers in the last year or so. So going in a bit more detail about Arne Slot, giving you a bit more of interest about who the man is. He's quite a character. We'll say that. So in terms of Arnie's playing career, nothing to really write home about, in all honesty. He was exclusively had his playing career in the in the Eredivisie and the Dutch clubs. He basically started his football career in 1995, playing as a attacking midfielder. Various teams: PSC Zwolle, NAC Breda, and Sparta Rotterdam. He actually went back to PSC Zwolle to finish his career. He retired at the age of in 2023. There he is. Look at him there. Lovely. That was towards the end of his career as he retired, and then he went into coaching. Originally with PEC Zwolle as a youth team coach for around a year before being appointed as the assistant manager at Cambuur. He then became interim coach after head coach was fired in Leeuwarden. And in 2027, he left Canberra to join AZ Alkmaar. You see, all comes around. Working as assistant to John van de Boom, and he ended up succeeding him as head team coach in 2019. In his first season, the Eredivisie was cancelled midway through the season due to the pandemic, with AZ finishing second behind Ajax on goal difference, although no title was awarded that season because it stopped halfway through. Where we continued, they just went, nah, it's all right, and then started again post-pandemic. In December 2020, he was sacked as head coach for AZ for not being focused enough on the team and basically already negotiating a deal with Feyenoord. So because it was rumblings that he was already negotiating a deal with Feyenoord. So the AZ board went, right, fuck it, you're off. Told you he's a bit of a character. He's a bit of a character. And then in that same month, almost immediately, he was announced as head team coach, and he became the club's new coach for the start of the 21-22 season. That deal would see him sign for 2 years, with Feyenoord having the option to extend his contract to a third year. He succeeded the very experienced manager Dirk Advocaat, the former Rangers manager as well. And during Arne's first season, he finished third in the Eredivisie behind Ajax and PSV. The club also reached the final of the inaugural Europa Conference League, their first final since 2002. He was actually awarded with the Rinus Miguel Award. Look how dapper he looks in. Look how shiny his head. And that's so basically the Eredivisie Manager of the Year. So despite finishing third, he actually won the manager of the year, which was quite impressive, really, in all honesty. After that, his second season was arguably more successful, as he actually took home. They won the title. And they won the Eredivisie, the club's first since 2016-17 season, 16th in the club's history. And so they won the Eredivisie, and they had an absolute storming season. Currently, I believe they're second. They're second in the Eredivisie at the moment. I believe Feyenoord. I think they're second. No, not Phoenix. Where's Phoenix coming? Feyenoord. Second. Yep, they're second in the Eredivisie currently. They are 10 points behind PSV Eindhoven. So we'll probably more likely to finish second this season. And then, as I said, in last May, having won the Eredivisie, he was heavily linked with the Spurs job. But he turned that down and then extended his contract at Feyenoord until the mid-2026. His contract was due to run at the end of that year on the 2025, but he extended it by another 18 months. Now, what is he like as a manager? Is a question which I think a lot of West Ham fans will ask. And you want attack-minded football? You want Bielsa ball? That's what Arne would bring to the side. His tactical philosophy, his approach to the game is often referred and compared to Marcelo Bielsa in terms of being very full on the front foot. He does love a 4-2-3-1, fast pacing, fluid, fast transitions. Sounds too good to be true. Aggressive attacking play, high shot counter. They like to shoot from anywhere, really, and showcasing quite a proactive approach on the field. So, it could be a West Ham fan's dream in terms of entertaining football, if that's what you want, which most people do. Looking at that side, if we looked at a little bit more detail, you're thinking, in terms of the current crop of players we have, how would they fit into an Arne Slot side? The goalkeeper, Areola, he likes a sweeper keeper. So someone like Areola would favour a slot formation. Left back Emerson, he likes his fullbacks to go up and join midfield. Emerson would do very well for him. I think Agard would do well as a centre half along Mavropanos. I think right back would be an area we'd need to look at. Alvarez would slot into a slot formation, pardon the pun. We may, someone like a Conor Gallagher maybe would be a good choice in that second CDM spot. He likes I mean, we were heavily linked with one of his midfielders last summer in terms of Okangoku, the Turkish. He moved on, didn't he, in the summer? But that's what you want, a real sort of energetic midfield player. And I think someone like a Conor Gallagher or a Yusuf Fofana would do very well there. Maybe not so much a JWP. Bit more box to boxy he would need. Then you're looking sort of in terms of the forward line. Bowen I would assume, would return back to his right wing, in terms of his position, right wing. Maybe Kudus going onto the left wing potentially. If we still had Paqueta, that's very much an attack. Sort of, in terms of the number 10 slot, and then potentially up front, looking at someone like Santiago Jimenez, final striker. Slot likes to play the target man, and Jimenez has been in fine form since signing for the club under Arne Slot. Obviously, Mexican, good friends with Alvarez, and obviously, you would imagine someone like Slot would want to bring in someone like Jimenez as the focal point. So it would be quite an interesting. It would almost be a double transfer, to be honest. I think if you brought in Arnie, you would have to bring in Santiago Jimenez or someone of his ilk to work alongside him in that sort of really pivotal target, sort of central focus of his formation. There is a risk, as always. There's a risk, as a gamble with everyone, really. But obviously, with Arnie, he's obviously all of his managerial career has been in the Eredivisie. So maybe a transition to the Premier League would pose a challenge potentially, as a lack of experience outside of Dutch football. Tactically, he's got, his tactic, acumen and success at Feyenoord indicate there's potential there. He's still young. He's still in his mid-40s. He's a big personality, that's for sure. Several times he's been extremely critical of players in press conferences. That might rub some players up the wrong way. Some players might enjoy that and think, yes, tell me if I'm doing wrong. Maybe that's a bit of personal pride, a bit of, that might be he might take to West Ham fans by doing that, by singling players out and criticising them in the press conferences, in the post-match press conferences as well. He is quite a character, which no doubt will rub some players up the wrong way, that's for sure. But I think it could benefit our squad, and they'd definitely grow a thick skin because of that. Slot's innovative approaches could bring rewards to West Ham. You can see, in terms of a desire to play a more attractive style of football, he does have that in his locker, and he has done that. He was attacking midfielder by trade as a player, so that is basically that mentality, that front foot mentality, does lend himself to his style of football. Whereas someone like Moisey was a defender, so technically more defensive minded. I have that in terms of his outlook. It's an intriguing one, Arne Slot. There's an intriguing blend of success, tactical ingenuity, and potential. Yes, his journey to the Premier League from the Eredivisie may involve very, uncertainties in terms of his adaptability, but his track record, his style, do make him a compelling figure. And the fact that his Spurs being heavily linked with him and him turning down Spurs allegedly shows there's and in favour for Ange Postecoglou, suggests that there is. It's not just West Ham interested in his services, if that makes sense. Whether or not he makes the leap to England football remains to be seen. But his story is definitely one that intrigues me, and I imagine intrigues many of the West Ham fan base. Obviously, all this is just pure speculation at the moment until someone signs the thing, until someone signs the contract. We don't know who's going to be our new manager, but I hope and pray that whoever is the new first team coach, whoever's the next contracted first team coach, will say that it's done and dusted as soon as the season ends, because we need that. We've got a hell of a job ahead of us. The only sort of slight silver lining is that it's with the recruitment process headed up by Tim Steidten. Do Feyenoord have a director of football? Let me have a look. That's a bloody good point, Russ. Feyenoord director of football or sporting director. They have a technical director. Yes, technical. Well, on the Feyenoord website, Arne Slot is down as a head coach, not as a manager, as a head coach, which is probably all we need to know in terms of how he's looked at. He has several assistants. He has a video analyst called Roderick van der Ham. Roderick West Ham, yeah. He has camera guys. He has Frank Boer, not Frank de Boer, as the team manager. Plenty of technical staff, performance analysts, and stuff like that as well. So you could see he could work within a continental style with a sporting director, technical director ahead of him. Yeah, interesting. Let me know your thoughts. I am fascinated about what you think about Arne Slot. On paper, he sounds a dream, but unfortunately, things are not always one on paper, as we know. They currently have at Final. They have a technical director, and director of professional football and scout. Okay. Dennis De Clues is the technical director with Jelly Goes, and that's Jelly Goes as a director of professional football and scout. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. Is Arnie the one that Tim Schlots? No, wants. There's a pun there. Anyway, will Arnie be back at West Ham? But he's never been here. But anyway, much love. See you later. Bye bye.